Well, up until now, we've been writing programs that just drive around. They either drive around inside of a loop, so they happen for a long time, or it's just a string of move blocks together. Now we'd like to start talking about how you make your program wait for things in the outside world to happen. And that happens here in the waits. There's a wait for time, so it'll wait for a certain amount of time before going on in your program. You can wait for the touch sensor to be pressed. You can wait for a certain light level. You can wait for sound, a certain sound intensity, or you can wait for something to happen with the ultrasonic sensor. Right now we're just going to keep it simple and look at a couple of these. First, let's look at time. Time, as you would expect, waits for time, and you can just set how long you want it to wait. Maybe I want it to wait for 2.5 seconds. What that's going to do is, if I had like a move block here and a move block there, it's going to do this move. It's going to wait for 2.5 seconds, and it's going to do that move. Pretty straightforward. Next kind of wait is a touch sensor wait. And for this, you'll need to have a touch sensor on the front of your robot. So here we've got a sensor. It's going to be a touch sensor. It'll default to saying it's going to be on port 1. Unless you have a good reason to have it on some other port, I just go ahead and leave it on port 1 because then you won't have to change it every time you want to refer to a touch sensor. And you can say, well, I want to wait for the sensor to be pressed. I want to wait for it to be released. Or I want to wait for it to be pressed and then released. This isn't used all that much on waits. You'll see where it's used a lot more in more advanced parts of the programming language. Usually what you'll want to be doing is wait for it to be pressed. You'll have a touch sensor on the front of your robot, and when it runs into something, you want to know about it and then go on. So what I'd like you to do then is write a program that will loop forever, and as it's driving around on the floor, when it hits something, it then backs up and turns and then keeps going forward again.